Hey there, fellow wanderers. You find yourself stepping cautiously into the core of a medieval castle, where the air hangs heavy with the scent of smoke and spices, almost tangible in its denseness. The kitchen is a realm of shadows, illuminated exclusively by flickering candlelight and the dancing flames of an open hearth that sends waves of oppressive heat toward you. Your senses are bombarded. The crackling of firewood, the clatter of iron pots, the muttered curses of exhausted servants. This is not a fairy tale. This scene is the stark reality of the medieval chef's world. Imagine yourself wearing layers of wool, the fabric clinging to you with the combined afflictions of sweat and soot. You don't need a weatherman to know it's both unbearably hot and dank in this realm beneath the grand dining halls where you toil day after day. This is your kingdom, but it's a harsh one. This is not a fairy tale indeed. Instead, it's a place where the line between surviving and thriving is almost invisible, perhaps more accurately, made of fire. So before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. You trudge into this brutal, fascinating world of culinary art, not quite knowing where to begin. Every twisting corridor seems to lead you deeper into a labyrinth of chaos, enough to make even a gallant knight feel more anxious than facing a dragon. Your first task is simple. Find your feet on these uneven cobblestones that have withstood the weight of countless others before you. You find your feet, or nearly trip over them, at least. The head cook, a grizzled old maestro of madness, whose furrowed brow tells tales of 1,000 botched feasts, casts a critical eye in your direction. His scrutiny isn't unkind. It's the weariness visible in a war veteran's gaze, judging whether you'll make it past the formative battles of your new job or crumble like underbaked wafers. Welcome to your new normal, where each day blurs into the next. Already you've noticed the distinct lack of ventilation. This kitchen is as cauldron-like as any sorcerer's dwelling. The suffocating waves of heat are a reminder that a few missteps could lead to burns at best, or disastrous fires at worst. And the food still must be prepared, regardless of how much smoke fills the room. The kitchen is equipped with its own bizarre chorus, the persistent sigh of bellows feeding the fire, the zing of knife on whetstone, and the ever-present drone of servants murmuring in the background. Your day-to-day existence is coloured in shades of gruel, both metaphorical and quite literal. A medieval kitchen is truly an orchestra of human suffering, and each member plays their part perfectly. The singing pots and pans, in particular, seem to possess a mind of their own. As you try to pace your task-spieling turnips into tiny, perfect little morsels, the crescendo sneaks up on you. The clang of a falling pan, followed by a stream of vibrant curses in Old English. Though the exact words escape your curiosity, the intent is clear. The norms of today's kitchens are starkly absent. There's no neat, stainless steel, no humming robots to dice your vegetables in a flash. Instead, the tools of the trade are rudimentary at best, more medieval weapon than utensil. A cleaver for butchering meat doubles as defense should a stray rat become ambitious enough to pounce. Don't get too attached to that rat trap, though. It might well be your target after the meat runs out. The head cook returns, motioning for you to follow silently. You slip into the shadows and are led to the pantry, an ill-named entity, considering it holds what's more akin to a museum of ghostly shelves. Bags of flour and stacks of root vegetables form the mainstay of your culinary weaponry. The absence of fine meats and exotic fruits is a harsh teacher. The lesson? Creativity, or rather, clever deception from limited means. As you stand in this dimly lit sanctuary, you secretly marvel at your predecessors who stood exactly where you do now. You imagine them faced with the same half-rotten potatoes and wilting cabbages, tasked with constructing beguiling feasts for the table upstairs. Forget today's celebrity chefs with their reality television shows. These medieval maestros of the mundane face their showdowns daily, relying on skill rather than spectacle. The head cook, ever the optimist, begins rattling off instructions for the mid-morning banquet as if speaking a foreign tongue. Smoked fish, hearty stews, and that perennial crowd pleaser, a pie hefty enough to feed hungry mouths, including your own if you're lucky. Historians still argue whether medieval chefs managed to find genuine fulfillment in their craft, or if it was merely a relentless endurance test. You, however, have no time for such ponderings just now. Not when there's a table to feed, and a feast to prepare from rations better reserved for pigs. Perhaps there's a touch of grim satisfaction hidden beneath the endless toil. After all, each day completed is its own small victory when the odds are so spectacularly stacked against you. As you return to the stove, the head cook's bark sparking at your heels, you can't help but feel the smartest decision isn't taking the job, but surviving long enough to see the sunrise tomorrow. With that, the lovely idle morning as a medieval chef unravels into a vibrant symphony of labor, noise, and possibly a touch of recognition in the form of a nod from your real-life taskmaster. Congratulations, you may have just passed your very first test in this world. But don't get overly confident. Many more trials lie ahead as we delve deeper into the chaotic yet fascinating life of the medieval chef. As the clang of pots subsides to a muffled hum, you find yourself drawn to the great hearth at the center of the bustling kitchen. Here, the extremes of heat swirl with desperate intensity. For a medieval chef like you, fire is both ally and adversary, the very core of cooking, yet relentless in its untamed ferocity. Not for you the gentle click of a modern stove's dial. Instead, the fierce roar of flames licked by a poorly placed log can turn a simple stew into an incinerated disaster. Your hand inches closer to the fire's edge, feeling the heat radiate fiercely against your skin. It's like trying to control a berserk beast with nothing more than the scraps and tools at your disposal. You wear the evidence of this unpredictable enemy as burn marks, still raw from last week's roast gone wrong. Ah, those were the days. You're keenly aware that the open hearth doesn't merely pose a threat to your meal, but to your very skin and sanity as well. And it's not just the heat that torments you, it's the contrast. While one side of you roasts, the other remains clad in thick, relentlessly itchy wool against the ever-present medieval chill. A drafty castle offers little in the way of environmental comfort, with stone walls that seem to conspire against you, holding on to the night's cold with a stubbornness that's quite frustrating. At the wooden table, your fellow kitchen denizens, their faces obscured by grime of every imaginable sort, struggle with more elemental perils. Ice as thick as a knight's shield that entombs the very meat you plan to cook. You wield a knife with the delicacy needed to chip away at this medieval ice age, knowing a slip could mean a finger or worse. Here lies the irony of medieval cuisinether dance with temperature. From fighting to maintain warmth amidst the biting draught of a stone castle, to attempting to cool delicate meats and fishes to prevent spoilage, you are constantly balancing on a thin line. This is a world of extremes, with boiling pots and freezing draughts, offering their own challenges and occasional comical setbacks, say, when you accidentally drop a precious ingredient on the icy floor, only to watch it skate away like a court jester performing for peasants. Historians still argue whether these mighty fires were ever fully tamed, or if medieval chefs simply developed a stoic acceptance, their own burnt fingers serving as deeply personal reminders of their culinary skirmishes. What is certain is that fire, unlike any other element, demanded constant attention, eyes and ears perpetually attuned to its growls and whispers. Every day in this environment demands a mastery of arcane fire management skills. A few bellows of air here, a well-timed heap of coal there, these things make the difference between a sumptuous dish and a ruined mess. Slow-roasted lamb, for instance, requires you to maintain a low, steady heat over hours. Imagine tending to that steadfast rhythm while navigating conversations with servants and dodging the wildly dancing flames. And let's not forget water. Fetching water involves more than a quick turn of a tap. It's a journey unto its down winding stone steps to reach the well. You haul the wooden pail up from the dark abyss, the icy water welcoming, albeit frigid, in your soot-covered palms. This isn't just an ingredient or a means to cook. It's an unpredictable factor in temperature control, cooling something too hot, or providing steam if handled with carelessness. The kitchen collectively flinches at the sudden sound of a crack, and a whoosh the fire's temperamental tantrum company once more. Sheets of flame leap higher, igniting tinder-strewn floors. Without a word, the seasoned kitchen staff spring into action, stamping out the miniature infernos before they take hold. The moment could have been disastrous, but in these hallowed kitchen halls, it's merely another day at the office. The elements are unforgiving. They refuse to yield their dominion without a fight, and that's without the assistance of anything resembling a thermometer. In this realm of sensory artistry, intuition and experience are the chef's best allies. Here, control over temperature is an acquired second nature, an orchestration of primal forces tamed to suit the subtlety of medieval cuisine. As the day progresses, the fleeting warmth of the fire becomes less noticeable as you fall into a rhythm, matching the ebb and flow of the temperature duel. You begin to understand the dance of fire and ice, each learning to coexist against a backdrop of burgeoning familiarity. As night descends, and the kitchen finally settles into a lull, you glance back at the hearth. The embers glow with a gentler light now, reflecting softly in your eyes. There's a peculiar comfort in this moment, where warmth exists without threat. Perhaps, you think as you dust the last bit of ash from your apron, the art of balancing heat and cold is less about control and more about learning to let go in the face of culinary chaos. It's a simple satisfaction, a small victory in a world teeming with uncertainty, one whose taste lingers long after the final ember hisses to an end. Your place amidst the medieval culinary tapestries takes yet another intriguing turn, as you meander toward a wooden table strewn with an array of ingredients. Here, the aroma shifts. It's a complex and sometimes baffling medley of earthy roots, pungent dairy, and dried herbs, their scents weaving about like ghosts of past meals prepared for the feast. But beneath this fragrant kaleidoscope lies a hidden enemy, the potential that any single ingredient could betray you with a treacherous allergic reaction. Without the luxury of modern medical insights, the kitchen, brimming with diverse and exotic fare, becomes a veritable minefield, potentially armed with unassuming allergens the moment you approach the table. Picture an innocent-looking loaf of bread, darkened by rye flour, holds the covert power of ergot fungus. Just a few unfortunate bites and you're subject to ergotism, a silent scourge responsible for the unsettling moniker of St. Anthony's fire. This neurological lunacy causes convulsions, spasms, and visions that might see you quickly consigned to medieval myths, forever remembered as having been touched by the otherworldly. In medieval times, the awareness of allergens was nearly non-existent. Any reaction, mild to severe, could be misinterpreted as anything from demon possession to divine punishment. A rash or swelling after indulging in a dish laden with almonds could revoke your supper license faster than you could say culinary calamity. The cause, of course, would remain a curious mystery, whispered among the staff as you turned a frightening shade of vermilion. Of course, milk and its variant cheese and cream add their own vexing conundrums. The Romers are lactose intolerant, although such terms do not exist in your lexicon. Not for you a dairy-free label or vegan alternative. A simple splash of cream is both indulgence and hazard, turning the feast into a roulette of digestive fortunes. Hopeful that your belly won't suddenly feel like you've swallowed a hornet's nest, you nibble cautiously, trusting the fates to be merciful today. It's here in the constant haze of flour and herbage that you face every chef's double-edged sword nutmeg. Though today we'd hardly think twice about sprinkling a few flecks atop our lattes, in medieval kitchens, nutmeg was both synonymous with sophistication and brimming with mystique. Yet beware. Given in generous quantities, it could induce hallucinations, a fact every medieval chef kept in the back of their mind at all times. Of course, it was a secret most hilarious to hide from the assembled noble guests, should they grow unruly during a particularly long dinner party. Beyond the individual threats each ingredient posed, blending them into cohesive dishes also required an inexplicable skill. Coconut-like substances, vine-ripened foreign wonders, and locally foraged mushroom saul combined into culinary alchemy that you knowingly fly blind into, hoping for brilliance rather than the bang of poorly mixed ingredients. Historians still argue whether medieval chefs unintentionally stumbled upon the knowledge of common allergens and whether they were able to remove or substitute ingredients for those deemed unsafe. Paradoxically, the stories that do survive tell tales not of foes conquered, but of daily recklessness turned routine survival. Once you'd placed your hazarded ingredients together and inhibitions were left to melt in the cooking pot, the pace quickened. The head cook would cast a watchful gaze, ensuring today's fairer utilitarian pottage rife with green served its purpose, proving both edible and aspirational. The king of the day, a parchment, wrapped baked fish, plush with rosemary, thyme, and other island marvels. But until parchment became a staple for communal consuming, a skipped joint of lamb or forgotten loaf of bread might follow revisions born from this culinary trial and error. Amidst these potential food fracas, popping a small aromatic berry, rich scarlet against the monotonous grain of bread all around, unleashed unexpected flavor and potential chaos. The medieval chef is akin to a tightrope walker suspended above a sea of unknowns, navigating with naught but rudimentary understanding of culinary chemistry. Your efforts in orchestrating this medieval smorgasbord were less celebrated and more vital, revealing there was no time to linger on the guaranteed contribution these creations have made to culinary progress. This represents an odd, yet thrilling reality. The artistry of cooking interwoven with the high stakes of survival, each dish a bite at a time braving hidden dangers. Perhaps that's part of the greater enchantment lost to kitchen chronicles of today. These days, such magic might be relegated to whimsical curiosity. For you, though, as midnight cloaks the castle once more, and you rest your weary head on a linen pillow, there's a morbid sort of comfort in knowing tomorrow's palate, steeped in mystery, also brims with adventure. Another day hovers enticingly beyond the horizon. In the hushed whisper of pre-dawn hours, you step outside the castle gates, en route to the bustling market square your destination, a veritable maelstrom of life and chaos, where the daily choreography of vendor and buyer unfolds under an expansive sky. This medieval supermarket, if you will, is central to your existence as a chef. The morning fog hangs thick as you approach, the earthy scents of damp soil mingling with wafts of livestock and freshly upturned straw. Here, near the crossroads of a time long past, you navigate the vibrant throng of market-goers, each voice vying for attention. You meander past boasts of fresh-caught fish silver scales, gleaming in the wan light, and the crimson allure of apples, stacked like a treasure trove. Trading gold coins for essentials isn't a straightforward affair here. You're an acrobat now, walking the tightrope of negotiation. Grocers hurl prices with the gusto of battlefield foes. With the scarcity of goods, medieval markets leave little room for meekness. It's a spirited battle wherein allegiances are forged between certain vendors and your ever-dwindling purse. However, with your meager salary as a castle chef, your task is to outwit them where feasible, bartering like a seasoned tactician. Spices draw your attention next. There aren't aisles, only slips of burlap and bowls turned upside down displaying exotic powders. Pepper is so valuable it's weighed like gold, true luxury for any establishment. The earthy smell entices you yet belies the latent danger of spice tables, where brick dust is passed off as ginger and gnarled bark sold as cinnamon. You learn quickly that spice vendors are like jesters, with tricks veiled beneath flourished presentation. Amidst the colour and clam, something strange strikes you. Along the market's fringes, cloaked sellers peddle potions as ancient as they are enigmatic. Apothecaries crafting cures from fenugreek to nettles. They seem reassuring until you consider the possibility they're embalming should you, in ignorance, heave the wrong root into a stew. Alarming, yet secretly somewhat thrilling. You edge closer to a commotion. Here, a reputable leather-booted tradesman gestures dramatically, painting great images with his words a trait that remains his best merchandise. Across from him, skeptical townsfolk gather to compare the merits of his wares with that of the merchant next door, questions fallen on amused ears. You may not melt into their midst, but observing remains an initiation richer than history lessons. The spectre of spoilage is constant. You learn shrewd instincts quickly to divine whether meats are butchered hours fresh or lingering days too long. Fish, when delivered rotten, tends to ignite uproar more strident than any sour cheese. After all, the smell lingers, garnering pained glares from all corners as if medieval airing out and wordless sighs could purify ambient stink. As a medieval chef, each market trip is an escapade, be it escapism nestled among the clamour of townfolk, or the dread that keeps fingernails bitten short should inventories reach thin margins come quartermaster check. An adventure it is, an exasperation it more often becomes. Historians still argue whether medieval markets were pillars of capitalism or remnants of bygone bartering societies. While studies claim transactions spoke of wealth and power, with gleams of privilege eternally favored, the existential resolution of that question might fail to settle with shoppers transacting amongst laughter, cries, and speculation. You move among the stalls, seeking out hardy ginger root and fibrous carrots, inhaling deeply the infusion of aromas as citrus zest, freshly baked bread, and the metallic tang of newly forged tools whirl around you. Here, among carts laden haphazardly, stands are still more diverse than anticipated. There's melancholy in departing when separations occur swiftly. Bonds forged with long-time grocers might sail gently afoul by absent stocking or incomprehensible spikes in demand. A merchant you've haggled with over nutmeg since your ascension to head chef today bears nothing sweeter than mundane root vegetables, and the charming tradeswoman offering honey and candied goods scolds you for bartering with her husband. Your close-knit relational web must continually be mended and pruned. The market is also where whispers teem with information. Who among the nobles has fallen ill with this winter's chill? Who has left for Rome? Whom the king perhaps favours not? Gossip, thus, becomes its own currency, swapped readily with fresh produce and seasonings. As the late morning sun stretches its golden tendrils across the cobblestone square, the crowd thins ever so slightly. With the clatter of hooves on cobblestones, you tuck away your hard-won spoils. Bags of grain and stout vegetables balance precariously over your shoulders as you begin the walk home, weary yet grateful for the bounty in your arms. You are reminded that every moment, even mired in negotiating prices, places you in the heart of culinary history. Each ingredient bears a story mark of the land, a trader's tale, an offer of cultural insight blowing through time like archaic leaves in an eternal gust, delivering tastes and lessons savory and bittersweet in their wake. Back at the castle kitchens, a new day's preparation lies before you, fueled by these modest spoils of the medieval marketplace. As your feet drag the day's collection of provisions back through the castle gates, you're greeted by the peculiar perfume of the kitchen, a blend of roasting meats and the unmistakable funk of turnips turning rogue. This is the familiar, if not always welcome, melody of medieval seasonality, which dictates not just your ingredients, but the very rhythm of life itself. The change of seasons brings with it a tapestry of challenges and, occasionally, unexpected gifts. Spring's arrival offers a plethora of fresh greens and herbs, but the freshness is fleeting, and as the days warm, preservation becomes paramount to stave off rot and rancor. Summer sun bestows ripe berries and robust vegetables. Yet without modern refrigeration, preserving an overabundance invites the tender kiss of mold. You've become quite the expert in packing salt barrels, turning sea salt into the medieval equivalent of Tupperware, compact and curious with taste, but necessary for winter months when life turned to storage and endurance. Ah, autumn, the great transitional figure, stretches wide as you pore over its abbreviated cornucopia. Apples, pears, and late root vegetables appear in droves, yet caution must be exercised. Overindulgence or underpreparation might lead you towards the winter of wonton, enduring fear for any cook worth their salt. Amid all these, winter, with its harsh embrace as familiar as a stone mentor, becomes the ultimate antagonist, a divesting chill, rendering fresh produce rare, livestock protected more than consumida. Stark reminder of a diet leaning heavily on grains, preserved meats, and pulses. This season demands every ounce of ingenuity and fortitude to present meals not only palatable but sustaining. Spoilage isn't merely a misfortune here. It's an omnipresent art critic of your culinary prowess. You have learned voraciously the secrets of pickling, borrowing from neighboring towns the hints of aging casks and acidic baths. Yet some things defy preservation turned grey and unappealing, jettisoned from dishes to avoid offended palates or worse. Outbreaks of disease that have sent more than one kitchen into a frustrated frenzy. Historians still argue over whether the trials of medieval food preservation come across as milestones of innovation or mere desperate measures. Between the salt packing and fermented fragrances, some see the roots of culinary genius. Others, perhaps, the makings of culinary chaos ensconced in unavoidable circumstance. Now, your challenge is to open up your stalls of creation and let your tastes drift to meet the limited supply. Despite the stark lack of refrigeration as we know it today, your kitchen boasts one marvel: a natural cold storage carved into the bowels of the earth beneath the castle. This cellar offers respite for perishables, the nippy chill preserving what your hands can't, hosting tubs of dairy turned to cheeses, butter maturing to golden delight. While your thoughts ponder the ice and cold, your senses have cued you by now into a sharp change. A pungent scent, neither pleasant nor fleeting, punctuates the Iran unwelcome discovery. Perhaps yesterday's meat kept a night too long. Sniffing one cut, you remove the spoiled part and salvage what's left, stewing the remains with cloves, and hopes that the nobility finds the flavor bold rather than bothersome. It's often said that creativity thrives in restriction, and you find laughter in it-light humor taken in small victories. Perhaps a meager pot of tomatoes, fat with bursting flavor, saved from slipping past robustness when paired with salted pork, becomes a patrol stew, hearty enough at least for a serving. You'll mask any suspicion of spoilage with a flourish of carefully rationed herbs, another small triumph. Sometimes you wonder how tastes shift like seasons, even in royalty. The fusion of salted meats, aged cheeses, and seasonal fruits with the controlled embrace of wines evoke relentless curiosity, but only when balanced with appropriate doses, avoiding excess and mitigating disaster. By daylight's close, these concoctions give way to fragrances meant to waft up the grand staircase, the heralds of another successful seasoned endeavor. Yet even as fires dwindle, you return and observe the stacks, categorizing piles, laying straight the counts, and double-checking your precious lists. Tomorrow's menu depends on today's diligent rations, and one unplanned feast may mean a scrape through empty crates the next. Strange how bounty and famine sit near limits lest tradition or accident alter caste, painting reality with a duality of contrasts. The evening draws near, your mind rises with the vapors of humility and perseverance, inscribed onto each emerging meal, a study of history shaped by season, yet savor held by survival's telling mark. As the remnants settle down to slumber, awareness sharpens a duty unending. For seasons yield, the clock turns, and winter's domain will again command your anxious anticipation of what tomorrow's market, or fickler fortune, might bring. A medieval kitchen holds its secrets as treasured alchemy. You know you've mastered none but courted many mysteries, where spoilage does battle with shelf life every day, yet the art of sustainability persists against the tide of time. In this vast culinary odyssey, seasons, like feasts, ebb and flow, yet all hinge upon the subtle, sustaining dance of preservation and providence. Back in the kitchen, the whirlwind of meal preparation picks up speed, sweeping you along with it. Here, the roles are well defined, though fluid through necessity. You stand in the heart of this medieval kitchen, surrounded by a ragtag crew all dedicated to one singular task: getting dinner onto the tables before the chime of the cathedral bells call the nobility to feast. Yet, what seems a simple endeavor is an intricate tapestry pulling every ounce of skill and cunning from your weary bones. You immerse yourself in the relentless rhythm of preparation, gathering simple ingredients, onions, garlic, and leeks, each requiring their own delicate knife work before they'll take their proper places in the day's meals. The scent of crushed garlic, sharp and robust, mingles with the earthy aroma of chopped leeks as they sizzle in bubbling animal fat, a humble ballet of fragrance meeting necessity. Without modern gadgets, your hands become your primary tools. Slicing, dicing, kneading. There's no stand mixer to soften butter, no food processor to blend your sauces to their silken best. All is crafted with bare hands, hardened from constant contact with blade and fire, upon which you can count every meal as a testament to physical labor instead of mechanical ease. To the side, a cauldron hangs, steaming fiercely above flames that demand continual negotiation. Within its depths swims yet another stew, a ubiquitous staple, but far from mundane. A medieval staple like this demands a tensioner, symphony of timing and layers, making simplicity shine through layers of browned meat and softened vegetables. Time is your greatest foe, yet your dearest friend. Each dish must be ready soon without a single tick. Tock mechanism, relying only on gut instinct and the bells of nearby churches to guide your timely choices. With each clang echoing down the stone corridors, you gauge what's left and what needs attention. A hurried consultation with time itself over the simmer of soup. As per normal practice, some dishes are to be spiced enough. For villagers believe they promoted digestion, or perhaps they merely masked the meat on days where freshness waned and accordions of repugnance hung in the air. Does the blend dare to delight, enhanced with its pinch of cardamom, yet distant enough that it doesn't betray itself, seeking more than anticipated within each handful? Coupled with the aromatic symphonies are the ongoing noises that accompany your work. The steady tap of knives, joined by the bubbly hissing of bread crusts crisping, compose a soundscape any chef would recognize. It's all part of the musical cacophony, where manual finesse replaces the modern buzz and whirs. In comes a minor disaster. Flour, precious and stone, ground, spills its starchy drift across the floor, fallen like freshly driven snow over your shoes and every crevice, a minor storm that heralds an unfortunate delay. These moments birth inevitable slips and stumbles, causing tuts, groans, and finally laughter from camaraderie sown through the perilous needlework of mundane misfortune. You and a fellow kitchen worker sweep it away furtively, considering it one of those tiny afflictions resolved quietly to not spark notoriety beyond the confines of this kitchen. Despite your dance of deftness, on occasion, the inevitable culinary journey comes to a sudden halt, thanks to a lack of manual grace. The lack scuffles with imagination, until balance prevails. Your ability to transform said flour into puffed flatbreads provides sustenance against doubt, lifted from the embers, as atonement for time wasted. Historians still argue whether the medieval kitchen's lack of modern tools left more room for pure art or kept culinary growth in stasis. Yet in the intimate touch of fingers to dough, knuckles aching from consistent labor, arises profound satisfaction and embrace of tangible creation. It's not only kitchen prowess that sustains your obligations. Recipes passed through whispered word and hastily scribed parchment secrets serve as the currency of this gastronomic domain. Each chef holds close their own stratagems, finely tuned for picky palates or bare bones. These are hard-won truths carried forward and shared only when required or demanded by rank, pledging themselves unwritten legacies to successive stewards of the stove. As dinner approaches, your hands find themselves now focused on final touches, a garnish here, a ladle there. A moment of reflection on how something as humble as a legume might bring breadth to the day's gastronomic elegance. It's a thing of beauty when all comes together, despite imperfections rattling through clattering cookware. You stand back as each dish is whisked rapidly away, occupied with assessing each one's outlook. Plates adorned with meats, vegetables, and sauces ascending gracefully from behind worn timber doors. In your wake remains the unsung art of preparation, hidden yet secretly fulfilled in sustenance and satisfaction, its presence temporarily smeared over glowing hearths. And as the rush of meal preparation wanes to ambient murmurs and flickering shadows, you take a moment to breathe. It occurs that each bruise upon your palms, every tired muscle and sore joint, is testament to creativity surviving against odds. You appreciate that while tools may evolve, this simple artistry of man-meeting food offers a timelessness all its own, a tether stretching into the future beyond the fires of this enduring kitchen. So, another day folds into dusk, the ominous serenity of post-supper quietude settling about you like an old friend, even as the torches remind you of an early morning market run. As the embers of day give way to twilight, the medieval kitchen takes on an air of quiet mysteria, stark contrast to the chaos and clatter of daytime. Here, in the hushed moments before night fully descends, a different kind of alchemy unfolds, where food and medicine weave together in a tangled dance of lore and survival. The open shelves lining these stone walls are stacked with bundles of dried herbs and small glass vials, their contents ranging from common sage to the rarer charms of saffron and valerian root. As a medieval chef, your expertise stretches beyond mere sustenance to the mystical intersection of flavor and healing. It's a delicate balance, one that demands an intimate knowledge of plants and an understanding of their dual potential to cure or curse. The night's task is a brew for the ailing son of the Earl, feverish and restless in his chamber not far above. The knowledge you command today could as easily trace its lineage to apothecaries as to any seasoned chef. You prepare to embrace the arcane secrets of this forgotten time, the truth veiled within folds of vapor and shadow. You've seen firsthand how the plant world offers solace and sustenance. There's basil for headaches, mint to calm restless bellies, and marjoram, said to lighten grief's burden. Although historians still argue whether such claims hold more in charm than evidence, yet even you cannot deny the comfort a steaming bowl of marjoram broth can inspire, wrapped in the soothing aroma of its gentle leaves. Under the watchful eyes of dried thyme dangling from thin cords, you turn your attention to the night's concoctioner, restorative broth, requiring precise measures of echinacea and ginger, each carefully minced and sprinkled with intent. As you work, you're mindful of the double-edged power nestled in nettles and nightshade. It takes nothing but a careless hand to swing recovery to disaster the line thin enough that you grumble at the absence of precise scales resting on modern tables. It's at this intersection where fact, mythology, and pragmatism blend, inviting skepticism and optimism alike from those who seek to apply remedies gleaned from garden beds and groves. Yet, as you grind mortar against pestle, feeling the solid reassurance of tradition passed down through generations, you cannot help but find fascination in these herbaceous mysteries. Stories bloom within the kitchen's dim candle light-off, nights fortified by ginseng before battle, or royals cleansed with juniper berry elixirs after nights of excess. Such tales feel both ancient and eerily relevant. The belief in food's transformative power resonates from the past to today with the same hopeful longing. Another part of your culinary contract ties your fortunes to a fleeting flower, the loving chamomile, if harvested by silvery moonlight or the cool of morning. It's said the difference in its potency lies in the timing, an idea both bizarre and intriguing, but one you'll dutifully adhere to, lest your audience of disapproving peers sees fit to criticize. The mere hint that some modern eyes might raise informed brows at such notions becomes a private giggle hiding within each reach of the dainty petals. Yet every chef's skill lies in knowing restraint a dash of poppy seed for sleep, not sedation. Marigold petals may soothe eyes, but overboiling risks bittering an entire stew. You apply ginger delicately to soothe a young man's unsteady heart, while quietly brewing chamomile in reserve, lest sleep evades royal rest altogether. In the serenity of post-supper decline, you note the kitchen's profound quietude. The understanding that this space, a culinary battlefield earlier, now rests as a haven, makes a loyal ally of the healer in you. The secrets that plants yield become voiced echoes of compassion. The structure, sovereign keeper, gently signifies the entrance into natura to learn and to comprehend its counsel. The dim light draws blurry lines across fumes, dancing impatiently into the rising warmth. When it seems the world beyond this room refuses to exist, you imagine the firmament above and whisper a silent, ironic thanks that these herbal secrets offer marvels untold against times less kind. As the herbal brew steep and the blend matures, night's embrace deepens, overflowing with intent. You pour into a waiting goblet, content that tomorrow this brew will accomplish its work, ebit comfort for the Earl's son, or sleep for those who dared dream beneath stars, ripe in splendor. One can't escape the irony that while you persevere with personal concoctions, observers outside future kitchens may relegate these efforts of yours to whims of ancient quaintness, perhaps bemoaning the lost days where health had its distinct palate, separate but intertwined with sustenance. So ends the day, as firelight unfurls across stone walls, casting histories not yet spoken. There's a balance held delicately in your Hansard strand of time, entwined with tradition, culinary and medicinal mysteries, wrapped up in the leaves of basil and echoes of sage advice. The night beckons now, soothing the demands of day to slumber away, sweeping all remnants of bustling kitchen demands into quietude as wisdom reclaims her throne. And so you retire for the night, feeling the weight of centuries upon your shoulder, sir. Strange comfort, knowing that both in sustenance and remedy, you stand as part of a long line of medieval dreamers, coaxing out the earth's hidden songs. Returning to the kitchen as dawn breaks, you find it in a brief moment of peace. Yet within this stillness, a peculiar ticking sound soon grows unmistakably, the quiet but fervent march of countless feet, belonging to unwelcome guests. Ah, the medieval kitchen's eternal nemesis. Pests. Vermin and insects are as much a part of this environment as you or the stout beams overhead, but far less beloved. As a medieval chef, your relationship with these interlopers is a doomed one-sided affair, with them playing the uninvited suitor, and you the reluctant guardian of food stores under siege. The morning light reveals a line of ants exploring spilled honey on the wooden table. These industrious explorers roll across surfaces in tight uniformity. It's a battle you wage daily, a relentless contest of wits where one must seal tight any jars and cloak any morsels before their reconnaissance turns to establishment. Despite your vigilant tactics, mice present an even more frustrating foe, agile and tenacious. These little furballs excel in defying your efforts. Every slice of bread left out overnight bears testimony to their nocturnal feasts. Telltale gnaw marks a brazen signature of their unchecked appetites. You dream of innovative traps, but find your present arsenal grossly inadequate. Meanwhile, cats roam the kitchens, well-fed but equally bemused, achieving defense more in presence than predation. Should you mention the flies? Their winged heralds dotting each exposed surface with disdainful disregard of your culinary endeavors. Across the room, linen drapes wave dutifully, intended to bar their entry, yet become mischievous foils to your efforts, often letting swarms through at will. It becomes a farce. With arm-swirling parody, lips pursed in concentration, your own brand of fly-swat dance. Historians still argue whether medieval kitchens were bastions of feast or frantic fight, whether chefs found camaraderie or conflict within these four walls. But for now, amid flour-dusted floors marked by scuttling creatures, you navigate diplomacy as fingers clean beneath cauldrons and tables. Raw necessity fuels your resourcefulness, drawing you into flickering candlelight amidst the shadows of time. This domain depends on natural deterrence. Sprigs of rosemary and mint purportedly lay an invisible boundary for flies, while crumbled bay leaves serve your continued pestilence prevention. Curious, hopeful experiment. Laying hands on peppermint oil, your fingers dab the corners of storerooms, crossing them each off an imaginary list. False security, perhaps, yet one cannot dismiss the relief in not defending solely with exhaustive strokes of broom-bristled futility. Laughter between kitchen companions lightens even pest-ridden days, where gentle quips about fraudulent flies come to life, and jokes about serving rat stew raise collective eyebrows. Amid mirth, solutions emerge. Intertwining memories with ingenuity discovers lavender fends off moths, spices unsettle bothersome bedmates, and cunning contraptions, though crude, bear promise of further defense. It seems odd to ponder this realm of small adversaries amid sincere service and sovereign respect, yet the pests provide perspective for those who derive resilience from nature's own games. The dresser's mousetrap beckons not just as mundane function, but artistry if ingenuity devised, meaningful enough among mortars and bowls. There's humility to be found when an elegant cake, fine-crafted and spiced, becomes host-cum-casualty in the accidental, inadvertent flight path of a fly's risky adventure. Failures question present endeavors, yet persist in important encouragement for future intents and their uncharted odyssey. When evening falls, you rediscover odd solace within these same rattling rat serenades, amidst fireside clatter spilling over stones. Here, the medieval kitchen turns its remaining pepper and spice-infused tricks against encroachment's lament, dancing pon coals forged equal parts necessity and practical nonsense. And so the cycle spirals underneath, yet above tables reset, cream and curdles rehide. The pest problem waltzes on forever in these whispered tales older than time. You know well a bite into jam roly-poly offers delight aplenty, yet unease chills at uncontrolled instants when guests unseen save fragments array amongst dishes belying clean renditions. Still, beneath the moonlit glow filtered by rolling clouds, solace whispers that each battle won was tireless labor lighting, endless harmony amongst rhythms of creation. For you, the underfoot surreptitious thrumming of shadows burrowing deep within pantry's dark holds sound less a call to intervene than generous stanzas immortalized together across echoes of equally consumed joys. As the morning sun creeps lazily over the horizon, your day begins anew, initiated by the familiar ritual of fetching water. In a medieval castle, this task is far from mundane. It's an expedition in its own right, demanding strength, patience, and sometimes a little luck. The winding passageways lead you to the well, a yawning maw cut into the earth, the water within as essential as it is potentially perilous. In a world where clean water is not guaranteed, you approach this task with an understanding of both its gravity and its risks. The water's surface, stubbornly still save for the occasional ripple, hints at hidden dangers. Contaminants are a constant concern. You've seen the consequences of careless consumption, the swift and unforgiving arrival of illnesses that lay waste to strong men and spirited children alike. Gleaning water from that darkened pool feels like a medieval version of spinning a roulette wheel with unseen outcomes, hinging upon an invisible spectre of sanitation, covered by its unpredictable, murky facade. Each wooden bucket you haul up is full not only of this precious commodity, but of silent questions. Will this water nourish or sicken, refresh or ravage? Cleaning vegetables, boiling broths, cooling wine, these actions all rekindle your awareness of the water's near mythical importance. It is, after all, the invisible backbone of every meal you prepare. Yet each time you reach for a ladle, pouring liquid into bubbling cauldrons or crafting pastes and potions, a hesitant whisper tugs at your reason. You stand forever mindful, aware that life's balance rests not so much in fire-touched steaks or subtly spiced pies, but in the innocuous liquid suspending these endeavors. Historians still argue over whether malady-inducing water filtered periodically through these communities was mostly happenstance or rooted in certain habitations' ill-gotten reliance. Some enclave elders clutch unwitting of effect's real source, finding divine favor through practiced encouragement, yet remaining caught inside a cycle of haphazardly informed continuation. You cling to the practice of boiling water, having learned its worth as a purifying agent. It's a small yet substantial shield against unseen enemies, and perhaps the closest ally you possess in the ongoing struggle for health. A rolling boil reassures you provides a modicum of control amid the multitude of minute mysteries confronting you daily. On auspicious occasions, an opportunity arises for diversion, a spring or river detour retraced toward distant myths, spun crisp by fellow travelers, boasting of flowing freshness. Here you've drawn yourself upon their lively accounts. Waters, silver beneath a springtime sun, dance and laugh in torrents like youthful voices. Yet these excursions and luxuries remain rare. Exceptions last petitions offered constant yearning for simpler places within whispering earthen veins. Yet, for all the intrinsic risks and required vigilance, you do find moments of lighter humor in watery mishaps. The inadvertent slip as you scramble up the well's wet stones leaves you at least inwardly amused, soaking distractedly with the irony of being so thoroughly surrounded by your elusive quarry. A mere toss of the well's bucket may provide a particularly generous dragonfly's visit, hovering briefly above the surface like a winged magician, offering levity to silence your ever-encumbered thoughts. Its dance mesmerizes, in stark contrast to the burdensome buckets and tangles of rope wound about your hands. Returning to the kitchen, successful in your aquatic quests, the water's silent symphony fuses everyday utilities seamlessly with all things peasant or lord alikeates. Myriad applications flow throughout days, both short and long, alongside simple intentions. Perhaps marred consequence won't dissolve entirely this tangled tapestry, each stitch drawn carefully with awaiting veils of firmament once again. Hand upon the dipper, you fill an earthen vessel, watching the ripples dissipate across the surface until the water lies as it should, calm and deceptively promising. Later, resting a moment amidst steam curls, gratitude lingers, folded carefully back into a posture of quietly keeping pace. So amidst these duties, whether somber in reflective indulgence or liberally sprinkled with light moments of levity, today is informed by sturdy vessels, sturdy spirits in harmonious choreography. Chef, craftswoman, philosopher, forager, ally, you continue willing-lied, despite despairs that might repose hopeful moments just downstream, when each seemingly incidental vessel by chance might replenish sustenance anew. The kitchen hums with the vitality of morning, yet beyond its stone walls, life flows within the rigid hierarchy that defines medieval society. As a chef in this peculiar social landscape, you find yourself at a curious intersection, not quite among the privileged, but significantly removed from the serfs who till the fields. You navigate a world as layered as a mildew, where your skills both honor and humble you. In the grand dining hall above, the noble lords and ladies recline at their mahogany tables, oblivious to the grumbling of your stomach. Their meals are fit for royal exquisite feasts designed to flaunt abundance. Here, generosity toward the table does not necessarily equate to goodwill towards those preparing it. Eyebrows never raise when a dish returns uneaten, but mention the hint of improperly spiced soup, and imaginations paint a lurid picture of inevitable culinary revolt downstairs. You serve them foods they occasionally nibble, yet often forsake roasted meats dressed in rosemary, heaping platters of roasted fowl, rich jellied eels swimming in aspic. Your hands offer these intricacies, but may never taste their finest embodiment and irony that tugs at your pride but finds scant acknowledgement. Still, your greatest satisfaction arises not from thanks, but from executing a flawless service that sustains the illusion of plenty. Even within your domain, the hierarchy persists, among both the kitchen staff and the wider castle community. The head chef holds sway, his wealth of experience commanding both respect and fear. Should disaster strike an open flame or tender dish, your fate lies in the calloused hands of this seasoned overseer, predicting scathing rebuke might mirror, stewpots smashed amid cacophonous confrontations, echoing against each imposing stone. Beneath this superintendent lies an unspoken pecking order, mental tally you keep, of favored servants who command the choicest assignments, inching their way to favor with the tenderest morsels slipped from nobles' platters. Each role holds potential to ascend among the invisible staircases of perception and position. The scullery maid, whose hands perpetually prune beneath the weight of the castle's heaps of washing, dreams of a day when she might handle the fruit instead of its rind, perhaps aspiring to taste the sweetness, not unlike your own unspoken yearnings. The gap between her state and yours is a bridge fraught with toil and tongues whispering of might-have-beens, of subtle aspirations nurtured under the stars. And though the nobility feast atop tables laden with excess, the humble turnips and pottages consumed downstairs stand in stark contrast. They serve to nourish, roots and grains rewarded with silent affections prepared in steaming kitchens, aroma snug as cloisters. Such meals derive small triumphs of survival in the quiet warmth beneath banners fluttering aloft. Historians argue whether those living in medieval times genuinely considered this hierarchy fair, or if they longed for the upheaval of a world that seems frozen in time. Questions linger unanswered until records come untangled from memory's embrace. Does your humble haven shield against realistic fear, releasing you to more decorative aspirations, circumscribed beyond reflections that impose by preordained prerogative? Servant or otherwise, realization rises with humility, wrapped against false swells of egos, seemingly inflated by grandeur, cast from gilded-laden platters. As the day progresses, this culinary labyrinth unfurls around you, a perpetual balancing act between servitude and craft. Whatever your personal fortunes, your day concludes with meals finely constructed, an invisible web connecting each corner of castle life, from grand chambers' vaults to unseen corners' confines. Beyond kitchens, dappled moonlight illumines tapestries. You too weave stories into strands of aromatic succession, each herald of fine dining undertaken, unseen, unfurling beyond memory's threshold, save your own kitchen recollections, drawing themes coherent amidst those storied walls standing watch. Even as shadows fold beneath ancient eaves, you acknowledge achievements with silent satisfaction, place assured between plates customarily set beside whispered skies, and ponder tomorrow's precious freedoms in culinary expressions, taxed neither by regal demands nor hierarchy's unwieldy yoke, remembering balance turning. Within this virtuosic waltz, this intangible relationship between cook and kitchen, master and servant, each day flourishes into flower and tooth, consuming within gentle ambitions fulfilled. As today drifts into dimming twilight, a stitch caught behind lingering smiles of thoughtful enjoyment, hope trails into echoes enduring while concessions around you spiritedly rise, ardent yet harmonious. The air is charged with a peculiar and lively energy as you step into the kitchen at the cusp of another day, the promise of a grand feast hovering like a distant storm. This isn't just any feast. It's the kind that ripples through the ranks, heightening every sense, where even the castle walls seem to lean in, eager to partake in the festivities. Today, the kitchen stands at the center of this teeming universe. A meticulously orchestrated dance ensues as you and your companions prepare to meet the prodigious demands of the noble elite above. For them, feasting isn't merely about sustenance. It's a spectacle, a display of power, and opulence every dish, a statement, every aroma, a whisper of grandeur. The pace has quickened, impelled by the ceaseless demands of the imminent banquet. The usual rhythm of kitchen life accelerates, tensions riding upon clinking pewter and the swift brush of skirts brushing stone floors. The hearth's flames roar with newfound urgency, an insistent reminder that time, eternally fickle in its silence, is not on your side today. Lists unfold like scrolls in front of the head chef, their extensive catalogue tallying the exotic delights to lay before the high table. You've been through this dance before, but today it bears a special weight. There are rumours of guests seated among royal scurious and discerning palates eager to be tantalized, eager to discover flavours birthed in distant lands. Today's fare requires all your skill, inventiveness, and a pinch of daring. Succulent roasted boar stuffed with chestnuts, glazed with honey its skin crispy, a marvel of golden perfection. Platters spill over with roasted vegetables and fruits, inspired by the mists of autumn. Quail's eggs, emblematic of luxury, grace intricate course designs with a flourish side of pomegranates, jeweled amongst leafage of lamb's lettuce. Amidst the glamour and the whir of preparations, every action is subject to review. Remember the mishap with the tart that slipped from your hands, an indelicate tumble met by a chorus of forlorn groans and a strangely warm gust of empathy from those who shared your ordeal. Such moments remind you not just of the precise nature-demanded presentation, they argue but appreciation of the ghostly fingerprints of humanity. A medieval feast transcends mere culinary refinement. It's theatre. Served dishes tell tales of their own harvesting, their cooks' triumphs sung out on platters. Wines imported from across seas or expertly crafted in the castle, cellars bloom into life, their flavours rich and full, accompanying each course like well-rehearsed dialogue. Even bread carries an extravagant twist, twisted into shapes echoing those same logos nobility bears. The nobles engage in repartee over tablescapes laden with opulent trimmings, which serve more than mere backdrop calculated theatre, strung with bright candelabra that catches light and reflects kindness upon umbra faces. Your culinary creations take on lives of their own, an extension of the pageantry unfolding around them. For you below stairs, there's no time to bask in victory or despair, just an unceasing rotation to ensure plates remain piled, hearths remain stoked, and the flow of courses springs eternal, like some elaborate dance of nature, left to its own whirling devices. Historians remain mesmerized by medieval feasting rituals, still wrestling with whether such indulgence directly fed into societal hierarchies or proposed unity within a clear dichotomy of divides wrapped destitution's embrace. Toiling unseen, your version of this ongoing debate savors you increased mastery within evolving moments, quickening tempo. Finally, after exertion bleeds into weariness, the concluding courses echo through the Hallan ice cream-like dish, cooled by salts of sodium nitrate, conjures gasps echoing impressions. Parting notes of warm spiced wine punctuate dessert with contentment soaring above tears as thoughts descend through plans untold. The feast, much like the fire at day's end, does not fade abruptly, but into gentle embers glowing softly. Beneath shadows, plates are stacked, leftovers inventoried to become meals for peripheral lifelines. Beneath memories of smiling faces, applause resounds a hush, keen with revelations witnessed and congratulatory camaraderie. As the dining room empties and shadows stretch into the night, you finally pause. The muted harmony, lingering within the confines of spent culinary grandeur, speaks to you of the beauty within shared endeavor. Once a lowly voice in this large chorus, you've achieved a quiet culmination, where a successful feast connects every soul stitching history anew, guided together by dreams glimmering softly beyond flame's embrace. In closing the day, amidst soot and golden highlights faded only slightly from before, your grateful soul recognizes the marvel within a manner rarefied, a universe laid bare on tables embracing transcendent palate. You step softly back into the quiet, understanding, timeless reflections cast upon skybound eyes through sumptuous revelation. As the long shadows of twilight stretch across the castle's halls, the kitchen is left in a post-feast lull, like the calm after a tempest. Yet, amidst this tranquility, another intricate dance unfolds, an exchange that goes beyond mere sustenance as you prepare to contend with the temperamental tastebuds of medieval elites. Nobles are renowned for their culinary caprice, their palates as fickle as the wind. Yesterday's culinary triumph can become today's forgotten art, and tomorrow's misstep could invite scorn. Herein lies the challenge: to decipher the enigmatic desires of a court known for its ever-shifting appetites and whims. The pages of medieval cookbooks, figuratively speaking, as they are more likely a parchment scroll or whispered instruction team with recipes reflecting the luxurious indulgences of noble life. The flavors that adorn their tables are extravagant, frequently bordering on the bizarre, peacock, ceremoniously presented in full plumage, meats dyed with saffron, and desserts perfumed with rosewater. For the uninitiated, these offerings might bespeak a conspiracy of confusion rather than culinary delight. Historians still argue whether these tastes were driven by genuine enjoyment or the desire to showcase grandeur through exotic novelty. Regardless, you have become accustomed to treating cuisine as much an expression of cultural identity as a prod of progress. With tonight's banquet in the annals, tomorrow brings a fresh challenge, crafting dishes that appeal to the Lord's esteemed guest from a far-off land, whose tastes remain untasted, whose culinary inclinations are hearsay at best. You ponder the possibilities: pigeon pie, with spices imported from eastern lands, or perhaps a sweet custard, richly layered with mulberries and almonds. Your mental catalogue spins, a litany of pairings and counterpoints, designed to mesmerize even the most critical tongue. As you labor over potential menus, you recall earlier inklings and misunderstandings that found gastronomical evolution through renowned trial and error. Remember the quail pie ordered under tempestuous winds, presented with thyme and licorice root for contrast that baffled taste with surprising charm. Or the night-coddled beef in peppered rum, misread exotic preference reshaped into brownie points above. To enchantment, culinary art owes much to serendipity born of necessity. Taste, in medieval times, carried with it a set of beliefs and superstitions as much as it did flavors. Physicians advised on diet with the gravity of sorcerers, prescribing meals to balance the body's humorsa feast, dictated not just by indulgence, but by perceived medical necessity. You become the keeper of this alchemy, translating rotund theories into digestion-bending endeavors, whither therein lies madness, happily perused with peppered inevitability, presiding from dramatic stage. In quiet moments, you ponder whether taste is driven by pleasure or the implicit potential for transformation. Is each dinner provisioned with declarations of opulence presented at mediations among silver plateaus? Or are tastes drawn through prophecy, daring to transcend as sumptuous gestures unfurl nightly in this wooden sanctuary for serenity's fading vestiges? For those whose tongues lie closer to nature, simplicity reaps its own reward. Small follies elevate meals beyond grandeur, rescuing aspiring cost-benefit via wholesome victories wrapped resolute beneath weighted silences. This mercurial embrace can bear striking results: spies, stirred willfully into herbs, translated to taut, soothing bliss, while dubbed neglects arise in stringency of elements diverted through shifting whims to palliatives. As these reflections wend their course into the late hours, you reimagine yesterday's fare as nuances shifting into tomorrow's potential. Periodically, firelight caresses jetsam cast before luxuries embrace and expectations decline, only briefly noted before retiring. The castle lies sleepily unaware of its culinary undercurrent, masked beneath magical wieldings where cooks conjure deeply through hauntings on stone-bound escape. On these pages unfold unspeakable textures, stretched leafily between where hierarchy hollers and discerning moments are basted. Not unlike newfound sustenance resides within stirring-laid tongues. And as the evening drifts into the page's corner, an invisible nod to another dawn's ambitions, you rest assured that come tomorrow's bright, the adventurer's narrative plays once more. Fate, shared freely with curiosity and appetite, and by the narrative's beckon, arrive to dine once more upon gilded plates and the faithful remains of shared tempests. Thus, a tapestry retold extends beneath yet another tentative culinary exploration, while seasoned bonds, defined by time's own passage, hold unswervingly fast. As the sun casts its first golden rays over the castle's turrets, the anticipation of another day in the kitchen stirs you from your slumber. Today holds a particular allure, for it is a day to delve into the cupboards and unlock tiny gilded chests of treasure, the coveted spices that whispered wealth and power during this medieval era. An obsession with flavor becomes apparent as you prepare to wield spices that peppered history with intriguing whispers. Pepper, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg each carries the weight of lands far beyond your immediate understanding, arriving at this kitchen in modest pouches yet worth fortunes. Rated next to gold and often employed as currency, these spices form the backbone of prestige. Their intensely aromatic presence hints at stories rich with voyages, trade routes, and mysteria dash that possesses both the promise of delight and the threat of deception. The coveted nutmeg, its intoxicating fragrance tantalizing the senses, finds dual purposes. In reverie, its sprinkle stands as testament to wealth, or, unwittingly, misused. A potential ticket to seizures and hallucinatiosa hazard, married to the cultured notes within its layered composition. The eternally debated purveyor of intense experiences offers both endearing memories and daunting possibilities. Still, their influence transcends the palate. These exotic powders are status symbols, branding each meal with a badge visible only to the initiated. For a noble host, no feast is complete without saffron lending its golden hue, asserting culinary prowess and societal standing. Your dishes sparkle with saffron-scented rice or spiral with cinnamon-infused syrups as you weave stories not merely of taste, but of tales binding far-off lands to these cold stone halls. Spices arrive, veiled in mystery and folklore, appearing from the silk-draped paths of spice traders, the lifeblood of mercantile city-siege packet, rumoring of daring quests to uncertain destinations. The Orient's allure induces captivating distractions, yielding tales enriching digestion as eagerly as the most sumptuous dessert. Historians still argue whether the spice trade started over the necessity of preservation or the compulsion for opulence, yet either yields undeniable testament to their power. The fervor persists, echoing brilliantly both in bargains struck on crowded ports and camaraderie shared within mist-covered kitchens, a flirtation unwon in words but always found in nuance. Within your domain, spices become the artist's pigments to which canvas becomes a vestige, laying tapestry of brilliance layered anew. A mere shake or sprinkle liberates flavor from monotony's grasp, wrapping culinary artistry tightly in ambrosial familiarity. Arrayed within the vicinities of cabinetry ginger, cardamom, and anise, become echoes of grandeur that transcend time and mark the essence of medieval splendor. A pinch of clove accentuates the lamb stew, adding depth and warmth, a secret potion unlocking warmth and evoking winter settlements. Your hands deftly sprinkle black pepper into pies, a spicy counterpoint that coaxes antiquity's elegance from mere rustic sustenance, reminding diners on all stations how its spells rises in station. Amidst the smoky tongues greeting morning's approach, the clang of kitchen pursuits mirrors intent toward another busy endeavor, a joyful cacophony. Each spice distracts from modest rations consumed elsewhere, marking diners elevated from that meandering reality. Among familiar laughter and shared aspirations amid future certainties combined, culinary camaraderie only hinted at a remainder elsewhere. Soon, moments breathing sweet lavender anointing, aromatic spice silhouettes pass through delicious reverie, world removed, transported through simple, smattering here, lasting eternity there. Whether entwined rightly or wrongfully within various spice structures, accused various lithe, the resplendence restored across trails spanning tuk-tuk terrain evolving. And thus, each meal plays host to distinct strokes of spice-painted artistry heralding journeys traversed unspoken. Leaving aside slight expectations, this anointed alchemy whispers softly along veins, etched upon the tastes betrothed to tablecloth dining rites enlisted anew, promising fragrances shaping both history and bravely spun ventures created side by side. This forgotten rhythm comes wrapped diligently, maintained through crafted spice signatures, preserved tightly within passages dictated elsewhere, the marvel extending far past prior understanding's reaches. Here, together with wisely regarded ingredients, overspread dining's noble stage all united under gloss-filled tomes, laid neatly back upon our hidden kitchen shelves. With every culinary whisper proclaims an enclave filled by presents, the unending journey craves perpetuating flavor, rekindled amidst dawn's fleeting presence once more. So, as daylight acquiesces to darkling embrace, the day's rhythm lies secure within spice-riddled endeavors, left to guide this grand culinary cycle to newfound treasures, offered by day's enshrining sepia echoes once again. The steady pulse of the great kitchen begins to subside as the evening draws near, but tonight, a new domain, becomes a bustling medieval tavern, brimming with human life, and ripe with the sounds and scents that breathe life into its timbered walls. This venture beyond the castle grounds presents a different challenge, one filled with newfound energy and intrigue. As you step into this communal hub, the very air crackles with the vibrant chatter of patrons. Each conversation, a weaving thread in the richly textured fabric of tavern life. This is a place where the lines between classes blur, where the rigid feudal order takes a backseat to the shared warmth of a crackling hearth, and the camaraderie found at communal tables laden with hearty fare. The tavern keeper greets you with a knowing nod, an unspoken recognition of shared vocation. Here, hospitality arrives in tankards of frothy ale and bowls brimming with robust stews, their aromas mingling with the scent of fresh-baked bread. Unlike the castle, where presentation dances with refinement and pageantry, the tavern's offerings revel in authenticity and simplicity, presented equally to nobleman and labourer. This isn't to say that simplicity means ease. The tavern's rhythm echoes the kitchen's familiar chaos, but is punctuated by boisterous laughter and the clatter of dice upon wooden tables. Every dish emerges from the same cauldron of creativity, a rich tapestry woven together so that diners enjoy sustenance both ample and satisfying. You assume your role alongside the tavern's kitchen staff, merging seamlessly into their frantic ballet. A rustic vigor infuses your preparations, guided by the same fundamental instincts you exercise within castle walls. Bowls of steaming pottage, dense with barley and wild herbs from the surrounding forest, carry the essence of the land to the hands of your patrons. The tavern quivers with life as a musician strikes a lively tune, plucking notes from a lute with nimble fingers. Spontaneous dances erupt among the crowd, fueled by the simple joy born of community and transient escape. Here, in this shared space of laughter and music, even the most pressing burdens find temporary respite, the unspoken trade-off, where food transforms from necessity into celebration. Among the guests, tradesmen swap stories of their adventures on distant shores. With each tale, wanderlust stirs in your own heart, conjuring visions of spices from Arabian markets and shimmering silks from the Orient. These casual, fleeting exchanges are far from mundane. They etch influences upon your mind, inspiring dishes that blend diverse narratives into the plate's canvas. Historians still argue whether taverns served merely as utilitarian watering holes or vital centers of medieval society, where cross-cultural exchanges flourished like the vines tangled on the trellis outside. They debate whether these walls capture essence fiery and hearty more than some histrionics aligned elsewhere. Amid clinks of pewter mugs toasted and sips taken, your conversations remind you that taste buds everywhere, noble or humble, seek solace or delight simultaneously. Today's tavern fare lacks no caprice when flavor serves edified, not partaking equally in indulgence reflections. Thus pies emerge statuesquely elevated by seasonal fruit, bestowed lavishly around each humble encounter on parade. It isn't only the patrons who gain from this night. As you meld effortlessly into the flow, you taste the distinctive blend of camaraderie and ardor infusing the tavern. This spirited energy breathes new life into dishes, flavors imbued with the compassion reflected in the exchanged glances and shared quiet smiles. And as the evening unfurls, a young maid approaches the kitchen, courtesy joined by questions about a new recipe discovered outside toner chestnut pudding so creamy as to inspire faint curiosity, even from the most jaded, trencherman palate. Tall orders nestle inadequately beneath animated humility, wide-grinned welcomes, promoting re-inspected refrains, eager still. As moonlight outside dances along creek beds, patrons eventually depart, leaving behind the echoes of mirth and the promise of another day. You share a final smile, an unspoken understanding that tonight transcended simple consumption. You contributed to a world-building endeavor, fleeting respite amidst medieval dynamics braided in unbridled conjunction. So, beneath thatched timbers gently withdrawing, night wears her mantle light upon weary shoulders, offering a tender recollection of shared unity, enlivened by generously served portions, housed within and about rolling laughter. Despite all challenges arrayed beneath daylight's fretting array amid tempered verses painted deep in tension, these shared textures accompany you home, laden yet joyful, heart resting readily content, with time, kindly fleeting past, repeated assurances left. In closing, you remember fondly a golden senior feast, devoid of hierarchy or constraint, existing outside hearth's constraintless flickerings alight once again. Beneath glad stars, they forged warmth anew within. Reassured, within post-tavern journeys, softly safeguarding dreams ready becomes now, woven amidst night together. Returning to the castle after your night at the tavern, you find the familiar embrace of the kitchen, its stone hearths waiting to be stoked into life once more. Today's dawn brings with it the memories of challenges faced during your early days in this culinary crucible, a time of learning, of endurance, an apprenticeship that tried both your patience and resolve. Your apprenticeship began with humble roots, much like the ingredients that filled your days: turnips, onions, and grains. The head chef, a stern and commanding presence, took you under his wing. His gaze was as sharp as the blade you learned to wield, steady and exacting, expectant of perfection amidst unfettered chaos. You were an apprentice, tasked with the menial jobs that taught humility, instilling lessons whose reflections still flicker through your current endeavors. Peeling onions until tears streamed uncontrollably down your face, you tasted the sting of realization that culinary mastery would take time, unlike the fleeting whims dictated above stairs. Kneading dough until arms ached with a resilient rhythm, these repetitive, seemingly inconsequential tasks carved the foundation for later triumphs. Each trial bore transformative intent, each molding touch whispered at crafting potential amid tender flourishes. Your training saw long hours, shadowing those older, wiser, their confidence wrought from years forged beside hearth's embers, imparted subtly, amidst watchful critique the building of your inner culinary compass. It was amidst the clanging chaos and aromatic symphonies that you first caught glimpses of artistry's potential, understanding that every seasoned hand bore stories enriched by experience, treasure trove hidden until unearthed through gentle patience, turned dynamic under flame. Historians still argue whether medieval apprenticeships truly prepared one for the rigors of this demanding profession, or simply perpetuated a model of ceaseless labor. Some assert that imitators replaced true innovators, leaving you to wonder whether antiquity retained its romance within mist-draped halls, stepping briskly beyond primal endings. But what challenges there were to conquer! The intricate dance of diplomatic taste tests, divine perception balanced upon the tip of each spoon, the sated sigh after weeks attempting perfect airy soufflé, or crouched over bowls streaming unusual foams, your head chef inclined knowingly beside your shaking handshees, few words ventured softly, never sacrificing tutelage for praise without merit to dignity held. Alongside your growing familiarity with the culinary arts came another awareness: how the kitchen was a secluded universe, separate yet deeply connected to the rest of the castle's hierarchy. Here the cook's voice, though hushed, lent buoyancy to intramural alliances, nestled deeper than accolades brewing beyond its walls. From whispered secrets within shared experiences, brooded, light-hearted, amiable pacts, best left unwritten, lest they unravel intertwined dreams, coursing between youthful coasts. Flashback further to fierce misadventure-swarm gingerbread loves, meant steeped anxieties hovering over pies before acquaintances' duties, exceeded, warranted hopes, sternly creased smiles. Patience continues, mingling amidst shadowed endeavours from cast-iron principles, seasoned through boil-spanned dace-a-cloistered apprenticeship, echoed in echoes, vowing winds alongside castles laid hopeful. Graduation emerged silently between scrolls of newly born skills, as simple potations gently steeped through hands, weary yet weathered, revealed not merely levelled texturas nor plateaus, adorned gently. Savour relearning extended trueness, wafting generously, breath freely drawn, courteous retaken, was neither satisfaction constrained beneath youthful naivete. And so, as the sun rises on this new day, fresh with untested possibilities, you take pride in the path you've walked, a story of perseverance told in each warming bowl. A quiet triumph resonated from beneath these aged rafters. From apprentice to culinary craftsman, yours is the tale woven into the tapestry of history, where each dish serves as a testament to the training endured and the creative spirit that now defines you. With each dawn, another chapter unfolds sown where lessons learned beneath the solemn tutelage of a grizzled chef's unwavering guidance guide your own vocational legacy toward its own inevitable horizon, as horizon-bound travelers weaving precious connections anew. Inch closer, explore secretly hidden glories laid before, while you hold tightly varied wisps of lovingly bundled bags containing rich bygone epochs, forevers else, necessarily unspoken, yet secured, amidst each successive moment, awash savoury understanding, fathomless. The morning unfurls gently across the castle, and as you enter the kitchen, a quiet reverence settles into your bones. Today, the presence of something greater looms, an invisible tapestry, woven through the sinew of faith and custom, stretching deeply into every action you undertake. This is a day when holy matters impinge upon culinary pursuits, where cooking and religion intertwine in a sacred, if complex, dance. Here in the throes of medieval life, religious observance wields tremendous influence. It dictates not only behavior and beliefs, but also what can appear atop dinner tables across the land. Each day of the week may well bring new dietary mandates, dictated by spiritual needs, a labyrinthine set of rules carved into the very essence of your menu. The changing of the seasons brings holy days and feasts dedicated to saints and seasons alike, altering daily fare with dictates, ranging from fasting rituals to indulgences where something ever-present yet unseen graces your hands and guides your choices at every turn. Embracing this influence becomes both a challenge and a privilege. You turn to your trusted collection of simple ingredients, coaxing them into new forms rendered through reflection and necessity. On these days, the richness of meats may give way to simpler fare fish, grains, legumes, the equally satisfying artistry of simplicity when carefully curated. Friday forbids the usual roast, instead offering lean fairy a dish relying on your penchant for humble, holy elegance, veiled beneath stoic obligation. Today's simplicity challenges you afresh. The culinary task at hand is to create 3 meals within religious observance, each possessing a flavor born from the balance of belief and inspiration. Your stove must dispatch lentil pottage that not only fulfills the spiritual fervor prescribed by clergy, but equally pleases the Palatian art where devotion meets gastronomy. Historians still argue whether these sacred restrictions inspired culinary creativity or stifled it, shaping the medieval menu in ways that left a permanent imprint upon cultural customs. One side suggests that such constraints were bittersweet, while others contend that dutiful devotion crafted divine meals cherished through lifetimes. These religious days bring their peculiar character to the kitchens, memories of the former upcoming feast festivities, redolent with visions of venison, succulent quail, honey apricot tartlets have departed, replaced with an air more contemplative, more dedicated to the soul's renewal. The pace slows, hushed calm, mirroring a tenet embraced in mindful harmony. With solemnity, you fold the vestments of your culinary craft into dishes expressing the strength both of flavor and faith. Steamy fragrance curls through the air, a thin veil of thyme mingled with mustard seed trailing fingers that soothe impatient waits, made shorter by fragrance alone. You season with thoughts of faith, hope, and charity threaded into each spoonful swirled. As your labor nears its conclusion, a moment comes to pause, observing Bounty Lane humbly restrained, yet resplendent nonetheless. A quiet contentment blooms within, finding beauty uncontained in simplicity itself. As offerings reach fruition fulfilled, uniquely among souls sitting wrapped amidst ornate clan. To the uninitiated, such observances might seem archaic, yet those apprentices, yet unschooled note appreciation, laced under veracity, reflected reverently across countenances. Each grain, each morsel, stands testament not only to the cook's skill, but to a broader cultural understanding, stretching back through centuries, suffused with reverence. Reality-shaded eyes held kindly before cognizance gently settles time-worn expectations abloom. In one seamless blend of past into present, forward into future, you embrace your role as both creator and servant to these traditions. The sacred, comforting weight of those who came before resonates within you, nurturing the seeds now sown for tomorrow. An indelible memory cast beneath the flutter of stone-carved arches. As evening falls, casting golden glow across faded mosaics, arcs of reflection pass through the kitchen sustained. You cherish evenings touched by holiness, aware of ceremonies unhindered, expressly as a truth valued decency, restored gently across aggregate faith each day, always understanding lies rooted more directly in simplicity, traced, looming, beautiful bloom, designed timely, perhaps within moments keenly meshed amidst each deferential offering's embrace. With quiet satisfaction, you exit the kitchens for the day, leaving behind sacred spaces wrapped around memories, christened anew within this cherished culinary sanctuary. You walk the paths where faith meets fire, transforming meals mundane into moments miraculously divine, aware of weighty understanding, remapping their place in history, knit within winding sacred kitchens' halls, bathed still in reflected hallowed grace. As the day unfurls its hues across the castle grounds, the kitchen hums quietly to life. It's morning again, and you find yourself contemplating a curious aspect of your craft, the smell of status, the aroma of power simmering in this medieval world. Here, scent and station are undeniably intertwined, a realm where a whiff can mean the difference between privilege and penury. In medieval society, the bouquet that wafts from a feast defines not only its intended opulence, but the very hierarchy it represents. A seasoned chef knows how to weave fragrances into a tale of affluence, letting savory whispers dance through halls adorned with tapestries narrating battles won and dynasties forged. Today you craft a dish designed not merely to sustain but to elevate. The heady scent of roasting lamb, flavored with subtle blends of rosemary and thyme, rises to mingle with lighter notes of lemon, carried on whirls of castle air and drawing the curious attention of every passerby. It's an unspoken message. This is a meal worthy of noble inclusion, fit to reach those corded rafters carved with careful intent. Your arsenal of aromas, garlic kissed by flames, onions that sweetly surrender to heat, and anise nestled in between, intertwine to form an olfactory tapestry. This is a performance reshaping perceptions. The confluence of scents, a prelude to the forthcoming feast. Each dish a composer in the grand culinary symphony, each fragrance plucking its own note of grandeur. Historians still argue whether medieval cooks consciously wielded scents as social tools, crafting olfactory experiences to signify wealth and power, or if it was a natural byproduct of extravagant ingredients. Yet the smells fill these stone chambers are echoes that resurface across generations, tinged with the memory of delicacies long past. It's no secret that scent defines the medieval feast, as much as sight or taste. A heavenly aroma acts as herald across tapestried halls and into silk-draped chamber, announcing each arrival well before handmaids gather, cutlery clatters, or goblets toast in gilded recognition of status. As you prepare these dishes with deft precision, Every seasoning expresses a ritual celebration of indulgence and class. An infusion of saffron graces rice with gold, and cloves introduce a sweet, spicy flourish empowering meat sauces to deliver majesty with subtlety, reflection vibrating potently to match even the most particular bon vivant. The role of food extends beyond the palate alone, an inherent augmentation of prestige and aesthetic, evoking delight so vivid it grants transcendence between vision and remembrance, where guests inhale the intangible promises before the first bite even reaches expectant lips. And within this potent symphony lies the subtler art, that of anchoring values in simplicity and truth. You learn to assert economic balance through juxtapositions founded in creativity and skill, crafting basic ingredients into orchestrated complexity, stylishly enfolding the charm of sheer elemental essence. Though the peasantry beyond castle walls might dine on porridge, graced only by herbs gathered from surrounding fields, here the finest spices transform their everyday kin into lavish experiences treasured ever so willingly. This is alchemy not of transforming base into gold, but of creating a transportive event through simple scent lifted to higher spiritual dimensions. Within these interactions is folded culinary curiosity, the aroma of paradise, but only glimpsed fleetingly by guests and courtiers protected beneath tradition's veil. Even as dishes rise gracefully from cauldrons, sending cascades of scent bills through reception, another element emerges. How guests react to such aromatic IT formations, confirming hierarchy both visible and atomically absorbed. Tonight, the castle's cavernous space fills with sighs of contentment as long iambic conversations unfold into gestures of conviviality, borrowed lavishness and ardor, transforming fine scents into the alluring currency of medieval influence, re-echoed powerfully into their accompanying banquet windows. So, as you unroll the aromas of the day, each layer revealing new surprises, you reflect upon the story you've crafted with every concoction of heritage encoded in fragrance, meeting freshly the grasses newly climbed beneath stars breathed divine. These fragrances recall reverence, curled effectively into salutations, loaning understanding on evergreen complexities to those savoring reality's genial reminder not period. Opposition seen elsewhere, fragrant marvels shared gently over and over amid compass-loosened scenes coaxed by candle envisionings far beyond today's embrace-touched palate within. In leaving these marble flagstones as the banquet wanes, serenity encompasses foresight, fragrances trailing before your fingers, brushing dreams that will continue painting tomorrow's canvas with equal parts memory and imagination. While the courtly aromas drift contentedly away, another dawn approaches, a reminder that each scent holds within it the promise of new beginnings, bridging history and hope across gilded tables, sky-soaring and adventure-drenched feasts in this ancient yet enduring tapestry. As the last echoes of laughter from the banquet fade into the corridors of the castle, the heady aroma of spent fragrances lingers, a memory of the night's festivities. Yet even in the dimming glow of the kitchens, there remains a vibrant heart beater, brewing legacy as old as the medieval landscape itself. You shift gears toward another essential medley of medieval life, the art, and sometimes the ordeal, of brewing. Brewing is more than just a craft here. It is a staple of daily existence, a safer alternative to the perils of unsanitized water. It is an ancient ritual, a mixture of science and art that transforms humble grains into thirst-quenching ale, providing nourishment and camaraderie in equal measure. Brewmasters and cooks alike carry this tradition, a responsibility, and a privilege that serve the merry circle of community life. Today, you stand over large wooden vats filled with fermenting ale, a bubbling cauldron thick with living anticipation, its yeasty scent both familiar and comforting. The ingredients are deceptively simple: water, barley, hops, and yeast. Yet, the magic lies in their transformatione, subtle dance between nature and nurture, coaxing from them a richness and depth rivaling any elixir. As you stand in this warm, yeasty embrace, the process unfolds before you in stages so artfully straightforward, yet endlessly nuanced. The grains are mashed, releasing sugars into the nourishing concoction. Even now, The melody of mashing and stirring, the rhythm of the brewing process, is as soothing as a lullaby whisper of ancient culture that lifts earthen spirits in a world of tempered steel and stone. The task requires timeless patience and mastery, small adjustments determining the difference between bitter and sweet. These brews are not merely liquid, but stories captured within bubbles of living history, where each batch carries a tale of good nights shared beneath vaulted rafters and loyalties pledged by heartwarming hearth. The head cook's gruff voice rumbles beside you. Remember when the malt lays hidden imbue personal flair amid essential technique? The shared smile is interrupted only by thoughts of yesterday's batches enriching routine. The informal accolade sweetens axes beside negotiations rituals intertwined by traditions lacing abode, long securing human connection through passages prompted by constructed idiosyncrasies stitched deftly. Historians still argue over whether brewing was merely an art form or a necessary staple maintaining health and happiness. Its presence is woven through the tapestry of life that stretches across human epochs. The recipes an echo of ancient knowledge refined from generations past. To those who consider church sermons solemn and rigid, announce ignorance vessels happily brimmed anew on cherishing opportunity, grasped genuine bosom across tablemates, wed to humble aspiration. Tavern stories translate beyond recollection into etched memories beyond the fermentation vessels. Conversations flit brightly from occurrence to occurrence, a balance, sketched across peer authors, dedicated upon Mather's matted gatherings. In truth's reflection, the same tankard, soothing mortal sadness brings courage sought through wistful yesterdays, bathed with longing futures. A new another chronicle coaxing hospitality warmed from the stem. Faithful chibi spurs gallantly traverse sleep-bounded tarries, brewing quite heartily. As the brew reaches its crescendo, you bottle it, knowing the satisfaction and relief it brings to parched throats after a laborious day. Even as the fire within these walls subsides in gentle waves, you gather solace within gently guiding bubbles, rising defiantly amid frothy puddles, past anticipation sustained through celebrated fruition. The morning's early light arrives, cradled in sleepy arms as your vision blurs in step alongside sleep. And so, amid barrels stacked, witnessing spirits now wandering, you quietly celebrate the enduring soul within these simplistic bubbles, fuel for medieval life. Sentiments entwined with warmth, laughter, and time-honored ritual, exhilarated yet truthful. As each new day unfurls, with ladle as redemption's key traversing waters fresh and brewed beside, you walk a path that joins past to present, rhyme to reason. The droplets fulfilling varied souls more magical than drums proclaimed, yet deeper still. A tale unwrapped before locked doors creak open, inverse seams catching winter jigs beyond secluded hauntings within veiled friendships. With gentle pride, you step from the dim warmth of the brewery, leaving behind harmonies unsung and many unspoken. Beneath the moonlit evening, echoes remain sustained in resonant harmony. Haunting the tangible, your pursued reflections bound saints and dreams anew. To the realm beyond, this humble brew remains timeless, marveling oft-etched tapestries crossing boundaries on promise lain by folks serene. While deep within minds of tomorrow lie quiet wanderers pilfering truths, nurtured within spurred onward by ancient grog tales residing quietly, unremembered yet indelibly hallowed within. Thus, through cobbled lanes winding timeless beyond, whispered, lingo takes wings among those who cherish merry tables, unfurling liberation, bound only by fate's truest measure, marking footsteps reverently within noble lineage, cherished nonpareil. With dawn's light coaxing shadows from their stone-bound nooks, the life of the medieval kitchen eases into focus, where the warmth of the hearth promises a new day's tasks. Yet, amidst the promises of gastronomic creation, there lurks an ever-present perilous dance with danger more dire than the missteps of taste or timing. It's the ominous spectre of fire and the striking absence of modern safety provisions, a relentless reminder that the pursuit of culinary craft calls not only for skill and ingenuity, but also for vigilance. The open hearth, heart and soul of this medieval workspace, radiates heat and light. It's a beacon of warmth in the unforgiving chill, the very engine that powers the culinary marvels you create. Yet, its open flames flicker like temperamental sprites, ready to leap with zealous abandon onto wayward wheat stalks or stray linen sleeves. The moment you step within the hearth's embrace, a visceral awareness settles upon your shoulders alongside the soot-dusted apron. Here, you unconsciously catalogue threats invisible to the untrained eyeshadows cast by the careless stack of firewood, the subtle curl of smoke's wispy tendrils when draft trickery takes hold. Your day doesn't merely involve crafting stews or baking bread, but includes a carefully choreographed ballet where you and your fellow cooks maneuver within the ever-shifting boundaries of warmth. Too close, and the fire's fierce caress seeks to sear your skin. Too far, and your dishes risk languishing in tepid neglect. Historians still argue whether the open hearth kitchens of the medieval era forged culinary masterpieces or enforced the tyranny of flames, demanding constant vigilance from the chefs. Yet, undeniably, these kitchens also forged resilience, creating chefs, like you who have learned to master the flame saw, at the very least, to dance with them. The head cook's barked instructions echo, as daily reminders dance along directives once again animated through practiced pirouettes. Remember the time when a fervent apprentice, eager and inexperienced, caused an unplanned conflagration. The flames rose with startling swifthood, casting a ghastly glow across panicked faces until water buckets bore their cool salvation, dousing fear with practiced urgency. In this landscape, everyone learns early that sooty hands tell tales of close encounters with heat. Simplicity frames complex artistry when days are spent maintaining a delicate equilibrium as countless cauldrons simmer, pans sear, and loaves bask each requiring watchful eyes, care-laden movements, and the cautious dance dictated by mercurial gases born of wood, enkindling life beyond blaze-born bastion. Yesterday's embers align tomorrow's metal temperance, reasserting each stroke against the currents, swathing safety's guidelines in enduring arcs of stewardship, honed through patience, yielding warmth. There within fire's cradle, you learn to defy elements inherent with intentions poised toward culmination beneath moon-surrounded prayers. Even amid disaster potential struck by random flicker perils, there lies silent gratitude within interval rests. A cup of ale, sipped thoughtfully, becomes elixir-resting imaginations. Chart flame dances beyond known foresight or controlled release, accompanying deed's delight assured where benign vision arcs safely across focused consciousness. Framel along tin spectral bearings. The medieval kitchen's charm stems from this peculiar dichotomy, from fire fraught with peril, becoming both companion and taskmaster. You grow familiar with hearthside lore, relics of meals past carried forward. Tales of retributive elemental guidance weigh vivid amidst savory summoning lore sustained gently upon carved memory. And thus, your journey with fire continues, each new day standing testament to culinary ambition, relentlessly birthing art from chaos imbued with care's reckless challenge, spanning constraints laid glistening through fertile possibility and dreams fulfilled ever gently. So commence, within ingenious trials cloaked in metal link's steely armor, silent musings resurface hidden intentions rooted fervently. With insight grazing semi-translucent perception born, confidence nestled against luminescence, beckons gamely amidst gathered ash-laden resolve, lighting paths anew, unhindered by trepidation's encroachment through these storied kitchen's halls. In leaving the embrace of this heated realm, momentarily lured by sunlit petition, sanctuary endures gently as warmth yields kindly. Amidst engraved resolution, softer brilliance, recalling softly sought freedoms, tied simply around flame-kindled artistry, and weary hands warmly held ambition beneath. Likewise, into future dawns, you traverse gentle pathways adorned, where fidelity guides beloved heartlines beneath trellises alongside verdant vistas, wrought welcoming shadows, enduring procession, amid lingering heat-born embrace, shadowed gently through softly. Woven warmth laced intricately, just as rooted freedoms reign robust ever in unrelenting melody. The first light of the morning seeps through the narrow windows of the kitchen, cutting through the cool air with slivers of gold. Today, you turn your attention to a beloved staple of medieval life, one that carries with it the cozy promise of home and the challenge of intricate craft: cheese. Within the kingdom of your kitchen, the art of cheese-making stands as both a testament to ingenuity and a tribute to the flavors specific to regions far and wide. Rounding up pitchers of milk from the pantry, you revel in the tangible connection to the land, where gentle cows graze on the rich pastures surrounding the castle. Diversifying your daily duties may, at first, seem a humdrum endeavor. However, cheesemaking is both nuanced and richly rewarding. Every moment packed with potential transformation. The milk is poured into large, earthen vats, and you watch as rennitin enzyme harbored from the stomach lining of calves works its curdling magic. The transformation begins, subtle yet remarkable, as liquid morphs into semi-solid with gusto that invites awe for such simplicity, yielding complexity. It's an alchemy elemental, where experience guides hands through motions tempered by time and tradition. Your practiced hands coax the curds with careful motions, easing away whey, preserving the elemental blocks from which future tastings shall spring, reliant upon your invested care. Swift movements transform raw curds into beautiful spheres, nestled in cloth and carefully hung to drain until nightfall. The cheese-making process, like brewing, is one of patience and passionate dance with time itself. Each cheese represents more than flavor. It is an expression of life's hidden rhythms, a taste that invokes the meadows of spring, the gentle lullabies of pastoral afternoons beneath open skies. As you press and mold, much like shaping dough, you think of how the texture echoes these quiet elements, soft or firm, creamy or crumbly. This tactile engagement connects you to the artisan's side of cuisine, building anticipation for the rich, savory end product destined for noble platters. The great wheel ages in its appointed place, a corner of the cool cellar that doubles as a repository of hope and hard-earned ingenuity. Here, cheese ripens within the silent companionship of other rounds, a brotherhood of fermented milk that interlaces past, present, and future, the natural bounty of the land, transformed with human creativity into something beyond mere sustenance. Historians might debate whether these cheeses were primarily noble indulgences or staples of rural subsistence, but one thing is certain: they offer nourishment both physical and metaphorical. They stand as emblems of a time when seasons guided sustenance, when the very fabric of each meal came woven from the tapestry of locality. Each region boasts its own secrets imbued within the curds, a metaphor for neighborly rivalry and a conversation among local customs. Cheddar sharp upon the tongue, gorgonzola singing with tang, soft brie soothingly. Rich, these are testaments to regional pride, persistent through the ages despite political caprices rippling across land and lordship. Your own brew of cheese, nestled among parcels of parchmental beet, occasionally met with exasperation due to life's pestiferous rodent venture holds. Its secrets within awaiting tongues, tantalizing, hungry waits alike. The dairy grocers, covered with herbs, cured lens nuances, none yet anticipate. Rich with conviction, generously witnessed throughout bounds of commonwealth, both rival and gained forth among friendship's gentle blends. Even as cheese ages to perfection, you find humor in the accidental discoveries that lead to exalted flavors, those times when curious trial leads to unmatched outcome, perhaps as gods playfully meddling amidst mortals' affairs. In this day of pressing cheese, you remind yourself to be grateful for these moments of discovery, the gifts of slow revelation available to those with the patience to wait, flavors elevated through learned perseverance, honed individually, yet shared communally within meals, made lovingly. As each round or board unveils itself to courtly pleasure, you dwell for breath upon permissible truths cradled beneath whispers of still-bound curds, transformed upon whims' almighty hands. Thought tempts, melodic musings silently echoed amid kindred spirits touched by nostril yield flavors, known intrinsically dampening night's savor, stirred beyond touch's gentle embrace. Finally, beneath the advancing twilight, these morsels nourish and compel with secrets spared and richly bestowed. Wrapped duly under celestially marked promise, hearts alight impassioned twice, in curds playfully plated to dreams, reborn among slowly ripening will emboldened. The pleasure of a fine medieval cheese lies in understanding, a truth realized slowly, cultured through shared artistry incarnate, succumbed possessive, beyond benignly knit friendships, at Providence's table spread wonder. In leaving cellars' restful silence, you nod to whispering affirmations poised deftly against dairy. Corantit merges anew, heart warms amid aged memories, stowed amply beyond recognition, but wisely, patiently, sustained. Nestled within the cool embrace of the castle's cellar, your mind wanders through the intricate world of food preservation. Here, protected from the heat of the kitchen and the bustle of the great halls above, you find yourself encircled by shelves lined with the relics of past seasons, a trove of culinary foresight that ensures the stable table through the leaner months ahead. In a medieval world bound by the rhythms of nature, preserving food is less a convenience and more an indispensable necessity. With winter's dormant months ever lurking on the horizon, each jar and barrel in this shadowed retreat tells a tale of planning, creativity, and resilience. Your task unfolds like a dance with time itself, timbered steps set against the backdrop of perseverance. Today, as you tend to these stores, you draw upon the knowledge bestowed by those who came before, an unwritten law passed down through generations. To pickle, to salt, to smoke. These are the gospels of the culinary kind, each brimming with the promise of flavors well kept and sustenance ensured. Salting is one of your most trusted allies. It's a process as ancient as the land itself, transforming fresh bounty into sturdy provisions capable of outlasting even the harshest freezes. You sprinkle grains of this precious mineral over slabs of pork, each sweet salty promise locked into the meat, ensuring its longevity. The meat accepts the salt as an old friend, drawing substance from each arid crystal, preserving a sustenance woven with the assurance of daily bread. Nearby, a row of earthenware jars, cradles, fruit preserves, and pickled vegetables painted with hues of summer's kiss. Here lies your very own farmer's market, a coveted sprawl that spins rainbows across half-open eyes and seeps so softly into palate's yearning voracity. Carrots proud in briny embrace, golden apricots luxurious beneath sugary sirens' coatings. To smoke meat is to engage in a gentle alchemy, coaxing flavor and longevity from cured companions, hanging like votive offerings within wooden shrouds, cloaked in aromatic haze. Every cut of ham, every length of sausage attests to this sacred transformation. Delicacies well guarded against spoilage, with a fragrance that speaks of longing hearthsides and forthcoming abundance. Historians still argue whether medieval preservation methods fostered culinary artistry or merely staved off famine's hand. It's a perpetual debate, shadowed by time itself. Yet, what remains potent and true is the evergreen satisfaction you derive from this realm of preservatione, small slice of providence captured in every tightly sealed jar. Even in the face of challenges, mold dancing brazenly upon surfaces, pests eyeing your stores with envious delight, you remain steadfast. During bouts of surrender, the dances are rigorously cleaned, doused in vinegar's acerbic touch, or sunbathed in calming spectrums, deliberately cast by candlelight and cradled beneath resolve's storied promises lain. Some days, through veils of fatigue and flickering firelight, you find humor in the cyclical nature of these chores. You imagine scholars of the future perusing cellars like tomb raiders, discovering lost wonders, marveling at these rustic reliquaries with wide-eyed awe, tales of ingenuity whispered through winding corridors. The cyclical nature of preservation ensures an enduring legacy. As each season circles inevitably forward, the task remains to fill these shelves, to keep the balance between abundance and austerity. Indeed, this dance becomes a meditation of sorts, where you embrace and thank seasons past and future for ensuring replenishment, sustained through watchful, vigilant rituals. Knowing that each jar, each salted slab of meat, speaks to you not in languid ghosts, but with the promise of flavor and safety in the leaner months, fuels your efforts, warms grateful fingers, as baskets are stacked precariously but determinedly atop one another in stalwart exhibit. These are your companions in this crusade against scarcity, custodians of taste and fortitude preserved through time's ardent corridors. In leaving the cellar's cool whisper, you feel a renewed sense of purpose, a reconnection with the age-old traditions that tie you inextricably to these castle grounds. So, in refracted light, through hushed echoes painted with preservation's impact, you carry with you an undaunted spirit, recalling youthful revels amidst appreciation's indulgence, where simplicity respects tangibility, translated across storied legacies anew, reminding one that each season, whether harsh or kind, strengthens the bonds forged beyond ceilinged, stony caresses. Thus prepared, you ascend toward daylight, once more an unwavering helmsman steering beneath certainty's jovial stars, a muse lighting pathways curvaceous yet concise, where culinary wisdom illuminates moments fair within tradition's embrace, secure in future newfound revelations, offered kindly by fate's illustrious brows unruffled, smiles illuminated across precipice, kindly celebrated. In the cozy confines of the kitchen, with the aroma of firewood gently coaxing warmth into every corner, you find yourself on the cusp of culinary alchemy, fermentation. This ancient marvel, riding the boundary between wild science and accidental magic, is both catalyst and conduit for some of the most cherished delights of medieval times. Here, in the delicate balance between ingredient and environment, lies the whispered art of transformation. Fermentation is the handmaiden of both necessity and excess, the miracle by which excess milk morphs into tangy yogurt and surplus fruits into heady wines. It is no simple task and art that tempers intuition with knowledge, patience with passion. Yet, when done correctly, it yields flavors so profound they border on ethereal, divine enough to have been carried through ages past into our present delight. Today, you stand before a medley of bubbling vessels, jars containing cabbage slowly surrendering to the tender embrace of lactic acid bacteria. Kraut, a peasant dish elevated through fermentation, carries within it the motoric resonance of the land itself, crunchy and sour, reveling modestly beneath simplicity's cloak, filled within the very essence of green life transformed. As you add salt to the cabbage, you feel the quiet excitement in being part of this invisible symbiosis dance, where microbes feast and complex flavors emerge, revealing in each level a depth of transformation craftily deceitful, yet eloquently resolute. Closer by, casks filled with grapes ferment steadily into wine, their perfume wafting a tale of sun-drenched vines far beyond the castle walls. As sweet sugars metamorphose into alcohol beneath the watchful artistry of yeast, a slow exhalation brings forward a cascade of intoxicating notes, echoing the labors of those who harvest, crush, and blend. The secret to successful fermentation is as elusive as it is intuitive, balancing conditions with the grace of a diplomat. Cool darkness, a gentle hand, and just the right amount of time crack the code, unlocking complex structures within the simplest of origins. Historians still argue whether fermentation arose during times of feast or famine, whether it was the deliberate endeavor of wise artisans or the fortuitous accident waiting wise embrace. What remains undisputed is its omnipresence in medieval cuisine and its undeniable impact on both sustenance and ceremony. Fermentation extends its reach into the realm of the unexpected. The rising of breads bubbly with yeasts, their rustic crusts browning in the embrace of flame, sweet meads from honey-drawn nectar-like into bellied goblets, reflecting sunsets beyond. These endeavors capture the soul's effusion, coaxing smiles from men wrapped in both boundless joy and warm indulgence. In medieval enclaves, this knowledge esteemed grows both treasure and triumph, cradled alongside inherent simplicity. Conversions affecting quietly, nourishing companions, suspended gently within whispers around notice, timeless treasures, perceived, divided, parabolic wholes. Remember the joy discovered through the stumble upon fermented fish sauce, a condiment so beguiling it delighted even the noblest counts? Or the surprise unblocking from ancient pages, lessons in kefir forgotten but for tales stowed lovingly through illuminated manuscripts. Each revelation not only sustains but also grows aspirations, transformed through practiced artistry beyond eternal flame's shared boon. Much like its impact upon wild environments yielding bounded joys, fermentation illumines a quieter, shared celebration of humanity's enduring thirst for confluence amid diverse origins, marking kinship, acquainted until twilight embraces once more. Yet, beneath this artist's exchange lies humor, in forgotten notions, curious echoes arising softly through bent refrains. In experimenting, joyful mishaps arise, but with each minor disaster, another lesson unfurls. Secret whispers, nestled tightly beneath liquid's steady pulse. These dancing serendipities, when realized anew, elicit companionship that translates through fond laughter, betrayed only in lapsing silences, unsolved. As the shadows lengthen and the day's labor inches toward twilight, you savor the results, colors and textures transformed, vibrant schemes shimmering beneath weighted sighs, time enveloped, gently walked toward memory anew, escorted across the transient threshold where tomorrow awaits exploration. Opportunities beckon brighter, both in mystery and discovery. With the kitchen descending once more into anticipatory quietude, you leave behind these bubbling vessels of alchemical wonder, knowing that they hold within them the promise of experiences yet to be relived again, patiently standing sentinel over ages-old mysteries harmonized anew. Thus, into evening's fold, remains gently yet enduringly, cradled, expectant joy, ambling kindly upon shivered ale shoppers, beside starring realms momentarily Siheda, commitment shared generously throughout deep-rooted fare's privileges, immemorial. As the gentle light of the setting sun filters through the castle's ancient stone arches, a familiar fatigue settles atop your weary shoulders. Today has demanded much of you, and as you navigate the quiet punctuated by distant echoes of laughter from the great hall, a profound truth emerges. The life of a medieval chef is one lived at the edge of endurance. Yet, within this dance of commitment and creativity, one must grapple with the ever-looming spectre of burnout, a steadfast companion that asks for respite within the relentless cycle of feasts and famine, of expectations, both external and self-imposed. You reflect on the labor-intensive nature of your craft, a tireless endeavor defined by the ritual of early mornings and late nights each dawn, greeting your return amid the scent of ashes, yet not fully extinguished before embers awaken, nudged insistently by prodding irons clutched ever tightly. The routine, though familiar, bears its own weight, where the stakes remain steadfast as your audience grows ever more exacting in taste and command, embarking whispered traditions framed nobly around stomach's desires steadily unfurled. The kitchen, a world unto itself, demands constant vigilance. The meticulous choreography of cooking intertwines with maintaining the harmony of the bustling staff that surrounds you, a loyal brigade, united under the common cause of culinary excellence. You guide them with a steady hand, their satisfaction and sustenance, a barometral reflection of a deeper narrative at play. But some days, beneath the heavy wool of your attire, the heat seems less a source of life and more a burden to bear, an omnipresent reminder that each task stretches before you in what feels like a never-ending tapestry of oversight and endeavor. The joy you find in the art of cooking fades to a dull ache under labor's persistent watch, as muscles fatigue and spirit strains against gentle furies welling beyond settled countenance. Historians still argue whether the rigors endured by medieval chefs were crowned by satisfaction or marred by an unavoidable sense of weariness, borne indelibly upon their hearts. Did they consciously envision respite, or wear their burdens as badges of devotion upon reticent sleeves? The poets portray these chefs as both scholars of nature and alchemists, translating raw ingredients into sumptuous wonders, perhaps asking too much of themselves, as do all those who tread the borderlands of passion. Yet peppered among these trials are moments of buoyancy, unexpected victories, like the perfect rise of a loaf, a pastry's golden hue as it emerges from the depths of a clay oven, the nodding approval of a discerning lord, or the shy smile of a scullery maid restored. These are the threads that draw you back, stitching newfound reassurances through complex paths of understanding, resilience ignited by mutual admiration amid shared accomplishments both modest and grand. In handling these tired breaths, you invite subtle wisdom that embraces rest. Rekindled breath, fueling dreams along vistas, gently sketched on parchment, illumined beyond imagination. Momentary embraces endear moments of levity, for laughter born from kitchen hearths, companion anew, sparking memories before retreating to patience. A lighter touch between duties reveals softer shades, warm embers, mirroring grails, wandering conversations, simmering beneath quiet camaraderie, amidst heady, gentle requests betwixt floors well tread. To lighten hard burdens through understanding demands, joy discovered truth, envisaged being held kindly whilst encouraged brave hearts remain echoed behind whispered futures. As evening settles, and the echoes of feasting quiet, you retreat into yourself, seeking solace beneath the stars that blink knowingly above. It's here, with skin cooled by the gentle night breeze, and heart buoyed by the myriad possibilities that tomorrow heralds, where gratitude finds its anchor, a gentle reminder that while the daily grind may tire the body, the soul sings on, fertile with the hope of another dawn's exploration. Finally, as the sky deepens into twilight's embrace, you come to rest in the familiar crook of your chamber. You surrender to the velvet comfort that the night provides, embracing the sweet whisper of sleep that brings reprieve, even if only temporarily. The cadence of dreams guides you softly across the threshold of darkness, reassuringly gentle against life's demanding refrain. You close your eyes, secure in the knowledge that, come the morn, you will rise once more to the unyielding but infinitely rewarding cycle of a medieval kitchener. Daily pursuit, shared ever onward, taking time and turning it rhythmically, endless through echoes, chanting promise, truer anew, along pathways we have walked before, yet walk to rest no more. The early morning light is diffused through a thick mist clinging to the castle walls, painting the stone with a veiled mystery that beguiles and enchants. Today, as the kitchen stirs from its slumber, you embrace an often overlooked yet vibrant aspect of medieval life that plays out in these storied halls. The swirl of kitchen gossip and the rich tapestry of scandals that simmer away in the background of your daily toil. The kitchen, the heart of the castle, is a haven for tales whispered from ear to ear, each story arriving seasoned by endless retellings. You are well acquainted with these narratives and tidbits that spice up the Dasa tapestry of noble intrigues, mishaps, and clandestine adventures that dance just beneath the surface of propriety. As the head cook brushes past with a grunt of acknowledgement, you catch the beginnings of one such story. The new lady-in-waiting Waff, rumours are to be believed, has a fondness for leaving courtly banquets with the choicest cuts hidden beneath her skirts. A smile flickers at the corners of your mouth, not over the scandal itself, but the delicate ballet of discretion and daring that unfolds within this kitchen's walls. Historians still argue whether these tales serve genuinely as currency in medieval life, to means of social navigation, if they were the entertainments of the day, passed around like a favourite dish, shared too eagerly during the pomp of a feast's perfumed elegance. Often the stories straddle both realms, recounting hints more sugared than veracity approved. Yet it is these very stories that bind the people who work among the echoing clang of ladles and knives. The scullery maids, with nary a moment to spare, spin tales alongside spoonfuls of soup. The jester gasses out recollections while cutting companion secrets on invisible parchment. Here, within this kitchen labyrinth, every person knows someone who knows another, perpetuating interconnected tales, linking shadows of whispered legacy, threading forward. You listen as the characters and plot lines unfold, from stone-hardened mouths bittersweet tales of knights favoured too much by the ladies or stewards, entrusted with keys to forbidden chambers. Each tale, spoken with an air of innuendo and excitement, elaborates a sense of shared mystery, drawing laughs and knowing glances, despite food already growing stale beside exertions spent rapid. Some legends recur like the ghosts, spiriting through the kitchens, the lord's misjudged affection for his falconer's wife, the baker's young apprentice caught exchanging messages beneath folded dough stretched to pie, and the intrigue of stashes of stolen saffron, found curiously misplaced, returning hints upon well-timed masquerades drawn cautiously amid smiles. Not all stories are of frivolity. Some unfurl dark undertones of spiced wine, savoured unwisely, leading to curious misheard confessions in whispers and jest. The narrow line between danger and pleasantry frequently jumps when candied dates meet Lucullus beneath heavy drapery, illuminating exquisitely conspicuous transgressions teetered from dining halls, fading beyond doubts, murmured freely amidst revellers keen. In the eye of the kitchen storm, where savoury scents meet tantalizing rumours, you find a private reticence. The distinction between truth and embellishment is as unique as the ingredients lining grimy bricks beneath frost-kissed vines sprawling across courtyard benches alike. Throughout the day's labour, these stories wrap and weave through the tasks, affording brief moments of reprieve from the persistent grind. They come, too, as a reminder that behind each role and responsibility are individuals bound by shared humanity. Each, in pursuit of their desires, affections, triumphs, and fading fears beyond open whispers, animating hallways long traversed before dreamers rest upon beds furrowed, yet dearly held. Toward day's end, as the rhythm of work begins to slow and the kitchen's warmth wanes, the stories seem to linger in the Iran invisible web, joining the past with the present. But for all the giggling fun that lives inside, there remains a lasting legacy, imbibed generously across ages, ever spanning behind stained walls. Sieves pulled along gossamer threads, bequeathed anew through deft hands, offering tastes tracing tomorrow's subtle brilliance. Retreating to your chamber, the tales continue to echo softly, gently prodding at your own reminiscences, suggesting perhaps known intrigues farther apart, memories stitching, instruction woven skillfully, cheeked deeper, still behind hesitation. Unexplored an embodiment of life's complex tale, restless beneath nightly heartlines, dabbed curtailed across the canvas reflection known. As eye drifts closed, laughter melds with dreamser, curious serenades singing through night's facade down corridors, enduring the quiet promise of tomorrow keeps gentle pace, embracing both story and truth into eternity, whispered among stones unbreakable, yet kindly received. And so, the stories dare continue, basked beneath stars, distancing simple truths, espoused freely amid diversity wound, charming lighter threads, interspersed rising and falling. The vintage bee, nestled close, inkling persistently mingling promises emboldened sweetly still. With the castle settling into the quiet rhythms of the night, the kitchen's fires dim to a soft, golden glow, casting long, comforting shadows. The tales of the day weave into the tapestry of your memories, presenting a gentle invitation to reflect on the cascade of experiences that have shaped your journey as a medieval chef. In this hushed twilight, you find solace in the slow cadence of your thoughts, the clatter of pots and pans, the fragrant symphony of spices, the hiss of a well-tended hearth hall fade into a tranquil symphony, an echo of days well lived. Each element, familiar and repetitive, offers comfort, drawing you into the warmth of reminiscence. The kitchen, with its ceaseless demands and unrelenting pace, has been both crucible and canvas. Here, the mundane transforms into magical. Mundane ingredients, humble and raw, become the lavish feasts that sustain the castle's noble inhabitants. Each dish crafted has been a labor of love, whispering tales of history and hopier canvas where tradition and innovation delicately dance. In the soft silence, you acknowledge the imprint of time upon the roles you've played: apprentice, artisan, caretaker of culinary lore. Each step in this journey has been a testament to perseverance and creativity, woven together through shared moments with those who've toiled alongside you. Together, you've weathered the fiery crucible of challenges while emerging enriched and enlivened by the bonds forged within these stone walls. The echoes of humanity's long expanse linger before you, the laughter shared at the end of a long day, the secrets traded over the chopping block, the camaraderie built during flower-covered afternoons. They form a cohesive tapestry, gently draping around the shoulders of your spirit, carrying you through days both trying and triumphant. As the embers glow softly, their warmth reminds you of the season's unyielding cycle. Each day, each feast, each tale is part of a larger continuum of story shared through centuries, enriched by those who've come before and those who will follow. The artistry and alchemy within this kitchen endure, linking past to present, transforming experience into tradition. The balance of nature, celebration, and constancy appears vivid, as predestined as the stars that rise and fall with unwavering grace. Thoughts drift tenderly, savored reflections trailing hello-cajoled invitations, stretching dreams flavored faintly with comforting whispers embraced within the evening's sweetest embrace. As the final dishes are stored and the fires slumber gently within guarded hearths, the castle sleeps under the watchful eye of the moon. You rest easily, knowing that tomorrow's dawn will bring another opportunity to bask within this enduring cycle of culinary exploration. And so, on this tranquil night, you find your own peace. Wrapped in the blanket of history and heritage that flavors every dish, you muse on the stories yet untold, the flavors yet uncharted, future pregnant with savory possibilities. With a last glance at the quiet kitchen, you step softly into the embrace of rest, cradled by the promise of renewal and the gentle rhythm of life's eternal dance. The soothing hum of crickets crosses the threshold, serenading you into restful slumber, as dreams of tomorrow's kitchens whisper gently across the contours of your mind. Sweet dreams.